my head, I was like, I can't do this all. Why isn't he helping? Why can't I like let this go?
All right, welcome back for our third section in our three-part series with Jessica Dunn, who is at home with Jess, helping individuals and families calm the chaos by living with less. And this topic is one that Jessica and I could probably talk about for hours, but we're going to try to keep it short for you guys because tackling the topic of being the default parent in a timely fashion. People write books about this. They
Yes.
do research studies. There have been many hours and decades spent on what is the default parent and why, as women, we are really, truly not meant to do it alone.
Yeah, that's a great way to start. um, as a recovering default parent, I thought this topic was really important to talk about. Um, I'm going back to a session you did back at Christmas when you're like, you are not the bringer of joy for everybody at Christmas time. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I know. And she's like, you're just like speaking my language. And I'm like, oh my God, we need to talk about this a little bit more because I find it so frustrating how so many of my peers, my colleagues, my friends, all the women just feel such immense pressure to do it all.
Yeah.
And it's not even the fact that like their husbands are not capable
Oh
or
no.
their partners are not capable. It's nothing to do with not even nothing to do with them. It's the internal pressure that we put on ourselves. It's we feel like we have to do this. Like
Mhm.
it's our job to make sure of X, Y, and Z all the time. Not only just the schedules, the meal planning, the just the shopping, but also just being the emotional punching bag, if you
Mhm.
will, constantly. Like you are the rock for your kids and your spouse. Like
Mhm.
there's so much there. And I thought it was such a good topic to talk about because I was there at one point and
Yeah.
not at my fault of my
Oh
husband.
no.
It was me.
Yes.
It's all
Yes, and
me.
me too. And that's like there's a term, there's a mental health term called gatekeeping when you're the gatekeeper of all of the things because nobody else can do it right or nobody else is going to do it the way that you do it. And it's a it's a very specific um it's an anxious behavior actually that comes from a need to be in control.
Yes.
If I could like summarize it in the most Cliff
Perfect.
Notes
Yeah.
way,
That's a great way to put it.
is that when we have an internal pressure to be everything and do everything for everyone and not even for yourself or your immediate family, like we're talking, this
Mhm.
can come into play when you are the only person who sends your mother-in-law pictures of her grandkids. This comes into play when you are the only person buying the Christmas gifts. You are the person buying your partner's gifts for Father's Day.
Mhm.
This is the default parent is so much bigger than just what you do in your home or
Mhm.
what you do in your like immediate relationships. It comes from a conditioning, mostly when you've witnessed women who identify as women being women in the way that they have
Yes.
been conditioned.
Conditioned to
And
do.
even if you don't identify as female or as a woman listening to this right now, if you were born of the sex of being a girl, you have witnessed and have internalized conditioning.
Yes.
Regardless of how you identify now, you will have gendered opinions about things. And
Yeah.
so when when we talk about and adding Jess into this conversation of how do we live with less, is that a lot of my clients and what she has noticed is that the women are the ones taking on this job
Yes.
and feel the heavy burden
Always.
of managing the household.
It's kind of funny how a lot of my female clients or identify as female, they feel it all, but then when they are struggling and can't do it all, the their husband or their partner will be quick to be like, "Why are you spending all this money?" So they're the quick to judge as well.
Yeah.
So I found like that was such a weird dynamic to me, where like you're clearly seeing your wife like struggling to handle 18 different balls in the air,
Mhm.
but you come and judge her because she can't cope. Like I found that so eye-opening when
Mhm.
I was doing this. I've helped hundreds of clients declutter their houses, and I definitely have seen that before, which was quite opposite in my house. Like, it's
Mhm.
my husband was brought up by a single mom, and she raised him right. I don't know how she did it, but like it was I guess a necessity. Like, he
Yeah.
had to pull his weight around the house. So I've always been in a very equal relationship. Not always that like we do everything 50-50, but like if I'm doing something on this front, then he's pulling his weight in another area. Or if he sees that I'm struggling, we tag in,
Mhm.
or we do things together. So he's very aware of it. But I know a lot of women out there feel like the internal pressure
Mhm.
too. But um, yes, their husbands are probably fully capable and are willing to help. But I also understand and get where some of the spouses are quick to judge because they were brought up in a family where their mom did everything,
Mhm.
and so they expect you to do it all.
Mhm.
So I've seen that. I've seen both sides.
Yeah.
Mostly I have seen husbands that are obviously are fully capable and are willing to help.
Yeah.
We just have to learn how to let that go, which is
Mm.
easier said than done. How do you let it go?
How do you let it
How do you
go?
let it go?
Yeah.
So
And I think what has helped the most in my relationship and what I have seen help in my clients is not much different than the themes we've already been talking about, is that like slowing down, being intentional, reducing physical clutter or mental clutter so that you can actually get to the root of the thing.
absolutely.
Right? Is the root of the thing that your bathroom is not clean? No, the root of the thing is that you're the only one who notices that it's dirty,
Mhm.
or that it needs that all of the lotion and the hairspray and the hair goop needs to be put away.
Right.
And
Right.
so when you have these conversations that are challenging and hard and very easy for us to talk about from this
Yeah. Right.
standpoint, if you were a fly on the wall, in my house in some of these conversations they don't always go well, but
Mhm.
um the internal struggle of juggling it all while wanting it to be different and not being able to access partner support can be so challenging.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you walk us through some of the ways that you've supported your clients through?
Sure. Well, at first, it's like I almost needed to get them to look inside or
Mhm.
outside in. So, for example, with the kitchen crasher course, it makes you treat your kitchen like a business. So, when I get your clients to like, when I got my clients to go through, like, okay, are you the cook? Are you the cleaner?
Mhm.
Are you the meal planner? Are you shopping? Are you like, so you're doing 17 things in the kitchen, just the kitchen. So then the bells start to ring like, okay, why am I the only one
Mhm.
doing this entire, I'm running this entire restaurant or I'm running this entire grocery store by myself? Is that like, could you do that by yourself? No, you'd have staff. You would have um, people that are good at what they do, certain skills doing the things that need to get done.
Mhm.
So even for myself, we are always looking for ways to be more efficient. So Lee's home before I am. He starts supper. I'm really good at planning meals and getting the shopping done. So that's my job. My kids are part of our family. They pitch in. They're little, but they pitch in, whether it's mixing the salad or pouring drinks, or it's got to be a team family dynamic. So it takes off the pressure that everything has to be perfect, for
Mhm.
one, and it gets buy-in. Family time connection is what everybody's craving. You
Mhm.
know, all those stressed out, burnt out moms, which I was, that's all they're needing, and some validation.
Mhm.
Like, once you do some role reversal for a bit, that husband's going to appreciate what you've been doing all these years.
Mhm.
You go try grocery shopping and keep it under $300.
Mhm.
So like when I was
With both kids in
with,
tow,
yes,
not by
so
yourself.
exactly. So when I say, like, I've seen clients where like the husband is very judgmental on how the woman was going to actually like handle all the kitchen stuff, we did a role reversal, and it was an eye opener for a lot of people. You need to have these visual experiments
Mhm.
sometimes to see, but treating like taking yourself outside and looking in and saying, "Oh my God, like, no, of course I can't do all of this. This is crazy." And if you have a willing partner that is willing to like even cook a couple nights a week, that's just like extreme load off.
Yeah.
Or I'll clean and you cook. Or those are just the little examples, but you can go throughout every single aspect of family
Oh,
life.
yes.
Like, okay, Christmas time, you were saying, right? That was another great example of like, why do we take all of it on?
Mhm.
So my husband does the shopping, I'll do the cooking, whatever it is, we work out a plan together that is stronger to our skill sets,
Mhm.
as well as what time and what capacity do I have to handle this.
Yeah.
And if I know my husband has a really intense work schedule coming up, I'll take the load on,
Mhm.
or vice versa. Or we know there's a lot of stuff coming up with the kids. We have a game plan for it. It's figuring out how to do things together.
Mhm.
And I will say this over and over again, done is better than perfect. Do my kids put away dishes in a really crappy way? Yes. But I do not have to do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's such like you have to like let that go. And that's a hard thing for perfectionists
Yeah.
and controlling type A personalities have to let go of, because there's so much more to life than cleaning your bathroom the specific way you want it to get done, right?
Mhm.
You have to pick your battles. And if you are feeling exhausted, burnt out, overwhelmed, not appreciated, you have to like let it go and get people involved and help out, which
Mhm.
hurts. It's hard to ask for help.
Yep.
It's hard to admit you're wrong. It's hard to go through these things, but if you look at it from outside in, I think that's the best way you can tackle it
Yeah.
is seeing like that you can't do it all. And actually my husband is the better cook in our relationship, and we probably, if I would have continued to cook over and over and over again. And even though he was the better cook in our
Right.
family, so like why am I taking that on
Yeah.
when he is clearly great at it and he loves doing it?
Mhm.
Why would I take that away from him? It made no
Yeah.
sense, right? Like, it just what works for your family.
Mhm.
And they're not may be perfect every time. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It's getting done. And
Mhm.
you're doing it together as a team.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised um, how much more you communicate
Oh,
and how much
yes.
more you're bonding together and strengthening your relationship
Yeah.
because you're doing it together.
Yeah. And understanding, like, through those conversations, like, almost always, it comes down to communication,
Always.
right? And so, in the middle of the pandemic, my husband wasn't working and we had had a baby. And so I said, well, one of us has to go to work. And being self employed, I just went back to work.
Mhm.
And so from a very, speaking about this from a very privileged space where I can make my own hours and, all those kinds of things. But, um, honestly, there were weeks that went by that I didn't do laundry. I didn't cook. I didn't do laundry. It wasn't even a thought for me to come home and start laundry.
Mhm.
And there was this like role reversal that naturally happened in that time. Super stressful in the middle of a pandemic with a baby, with a partner whose our primary income was not happening,
Mhm.
was so stressful. However, all of that and working together and communicating, having hard conversations, setting ourselves up for success, understanding each other's strengths and what we needed actually made more time
Yes.
in our relationship to be together, because then one of us wasn't the sole person
Right.
to do all of the things and the
Right.
other person was the one burning with resentment the entire time for doing all of the things. There was this like opening of communication. It was rocky, it was bumpy, it was hard, challenging. We had fights, we had to repair and work on some of the things that we threw out at each other. But at the end of the day, when you work towards the ideal in your mind, the better the future you thanks you for
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And I know that I have had many clients sitting exactly on this couch say to me, I don't know how to get my partner to help
Help.
more or do more or validate me or see me or,
Right.
insert whatever it is that
Right.
you're longing for.
For
What it comes down to is going through that journey to clarify what you want in your life, communicating, getting outside support like the kitchen crasher, or going to therapy, or finding an online course that will help you in navigating what it actually is to be the default parent or the
Yeah.
person doing it all. And understanding that you have your own inner monologue and your partner has their own inner monologue
Right.
about what's happening.
Yeah. That's so great that you said that, because in my head, I was like, I can't do this all. Why isn't he helping? Why can't I like let this go? Where he was saying, what can I do to help
Yeah.
her? But he didn't know how to ask me,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to I didn't know how to ask him.
Mhm.
It was really weird that we're both kind of like, you felt it, but we didn't know how to get to the next step. It was just like, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I can't do this all anymore. Is there some things on my list that you can tackle with me and just see how it goes?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not like, maybe it's not a temporary thing. Maybe it's like, oh, well, oh my God, he's so much better at finances.
Right.
Let him do the grocery shopping, or let him do the cooking.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was, again, perfect, or getting done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And like, getting those mundane, stupid tasks that nobody really loves to do out of the way, so then you can be
Mhm.
present and together, is all we really want anyway.
Yeah.
So let's get there together
Yeah.
faster. And that's not just me and him, it's the whole family.
Yes.
If you want mom to spend time with you and play games with you, let's get this crap done so we have an hour to have
Mhm.
movie night, or let's to play board
Yeah.
games or dolls. So like, they see, oh, mom has other responsibilities besides just me. I'm not the
Mhm.
center of everything all the time.
Yeah.
And hey, if I help mom put the dishes away, I get to go do something with her.
Mhm.
Bonus,
Yeah.
win-win. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
asking for the right thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to look, if you don't even know how to do it, you go outside in and see where some places where you are, I think I can let this go. Or
Mhm.
I didn't even realize what I was doing.
Mhm.
And the less you can, I would say, even conditioning your kids, because if you are always the default parent, for them to coming to you constantly, if they're the ones hurting,
Yeah.
or they're struggling, or even feeling joy, they're always going to go to you. When you have another fully capable parent that wants to be engaged and involved too, you have to tell your kid, oh, that's great, but you know what? I'm doing dishes right now. Tell dad all about your day right now.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you when I'm ready. So then they have, okay, well, I can't just always go to mom with
Yeah.
all my stuff. Dad is here too.
Yeah. And that empowers them.
Yeah.
And this is a phenomenon that exists not only in heterosexual relationships, but also in same-sex relationships, where there will be one person, the doer, right? And the one person who's the, in research, called like the secondary parent, or the other parent. And we're super oversimplifying what it means to be conditioned, and gender, and even attachment, right? Like, but in all of this, if you can reach out to your partner, it also gives them a chance to shine,
Yes.
and it gives them a chance to show what it means in this family to be supportive of each other, even
Right.
even if it's muddy, even if it's complex, even if it's challenging. And I think it's also important to recognize that these things are not easily done if you are in a place where safety is a concern in your relationship, and it is actually unsafe maybe to change the role dynamics, which in that case is a whole nother topic that I would encourage you to reach out and support yourself as best you can, if that is the case in your relationship. But at the end of the day, I think the message that Jess and I want you to have is that you are not meant to do it alone.
No.
And you shouldn't.
No. You will burn out
Yeah.
instantly, and you're not going to be yourself.
No.
And that's not
That's not
good
fair for
for
you.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.